That is not correct.
You just said they have to go to a silent lunch. What do you mean by?
We reward the students who are behaving, and we find the students based on the lunch aide's recommendations, and they are rewarded. So it is not an entire silent lunch. We allow people who follow the rules, who have good behavior, to talk. They can sit out in a different area of the cafeteria. We are focusing on rewarding good behavior. We want to show the positive to the students. If a student misbehaves and does not follow the rules, yes, then they receive lunch detentions.
But that's an individual being told to be silent.
As a stakeholder of the school district with 2 children in the school district, thank you for making students aware of what their responsibilities are and how to act in the cafeteria, and establishing rules and guidelines and expecting them to live up to those rules and guidelines, and confirming as a parent that every time there is a negative behavior, there is a response, and a response that directly impacts them. There are rules, there are consequences, both negative and positive, to following or not following rules. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Very good.
So the point is, the best way to follow the rules is know what they are. So therefore, you should have them in the book.
Know what they are,
and
and
they
as
should have.
long as they understand what they are.
Or you can withdraw.
Obviously-
The students understand.
they obviously
had
didn't.
several meetings.
Obviously, they
with
didn't.
the students.
It's okay.
So the students can comprehend it. Why don't you go and ask the students if they understand the rules?
Mr. Answer.
Well, I'd like to consider myself a fair, disciplined man, a man of values, and I'm a parent in the district. I thank you for teaching my children, my child who's at the middle school, the discipline. He's been part of the quiet, the silent lunches, whatever they are. He tells us about them, and they're rightly given out. The kids understand that. They correct their behaviors so that they can participate in a social environment when they grow older to know how to act in public. So again, thank you for instilling those values or reinforcing those values that we instill at home, at school. So I thank you and we appreciate it as a parent.
On the question, when you initiate these lunches that are flying,
Yep.
how many days in a row does this take place?
We monitor every day, and Mr. Tack's aware of it. Every day our lunch aides give us data. They give us either a 1, a 2, or a 3 on how the behavior is, and we look at it from a Monday to Friday basis. If they go and they change their behavior and they show the lunch aides that they are able to behave, we take it away. It's not an ongoing thing. It's monitored on a weekly basis, on a day-to-day basis. And we don't believe in having a long consequence of, 2 weeks or 10 days of being quiet. It really goes on being able to look at that thermometer, look at how they have changed, and we try and reward them as quickly as possible. So it's working. It's something that we put in place last year. It's a targeted area that we want to try and correct the behavior, and it's working.
I just know from being a parent that sometimes you can't give out more punishment than it's worth. Because
Correct. I completely agree. And that's why we look at it as a Monday to Friday kind of thing. And we do. We give back the reward as quickly as we can. I completely agree with you.
And it was brought to my attention that it wasn't unilateral, it was just for that specific group of kids that were allowed. It wasn't for the other 2 periods that come in. Is that
That's correct.
correct?
That's
so,
correct.
So it wasn't like a unilateral punishment?
We have 2.
No, that's correct.
So my daughter
We have
was in
3
the
lunch
difference,
periods
so-
and we teach, we treat each one individually.
So when Andy says that his kids come home with a silent lunch,
and she wasn't punished.
right? So Andy mentioned that his kids come home and make a mention that there was a silent lunch. How many times has that happened, say, since the beginning of this year? It's 2 months in.
It's not very often.
No, just,
I don't think 6th grade has, one of the grades,
It's
2 of
been
the
1
grades, I
week,
don't
yeah.
think have had any, so.
it's been 1
Quiet
week.
lunch.
And it's not the entire lunchroom, it's just a table or a section that's being allowed.
It's a couple tables, and then the kids who have rewards are scattered throughout the foyer and outside, where it's talking, regular lunch period.
Okay.
Any other questions for the
I
next?
do have a question, and it's probably more related to, because I'm not familiar with this. The mobile dental man, it lists a couple of insurance companies that allow the students to get the dental health services. is this only for kids that are low income or?
Yes.
And so like people that have insurance at home, their kids don't automatically go
No,
to
they don't know. It's for the local students. And we have that at the elementary and the high school.
Because I was kind of wondering why there only be certain insurance companies listed, and that was why. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for the presentation. I appreciate it. We'll turn it over to the high school.
Good evening, I'm Mrs. Allen, high school principal, Dave Hauser, assistant principal. Discussion of the high school handbook. The high school handbook, just so everyone was aware, the process of the development of the high school handbook. First of all, Dave and I are now entering our second year at Lehighton High School. When we transitioned last August, the handbook had already been previously board approved. So we transitioned with the handbook that had already been in place for the 17-18 school year. No changes were made in that school year. As we went through the school year last year, we looked at situations that came up. We monitored, we recorded issues, we looked at data, we addressed them, and we created suggested edits over the summer based on information from multiple advisory councils. Throughout the school year, we had a teacher advisory council, which was called the principal advisory council. We had a student advisory council as well, where we met with students throughout grades 9 through 12 over lunchtimes, that they gave up their lunches to meet with us, discuss rules, discuss issues in the high school, things that we could work on, things we could tweak, what's going well, what's not going well. As well as we did that with teachers and after-school sessions. Those were voluntarily committees. They chose to come meet with us and offer input, which we took into consideration. We also looked at quantifiable data. So we looked at what we track. We track tardiness, we track attendance, we track academic, obviously if there's concerns, teachers approach us, and obviously behavior. And then state and laws and federal laws and state laws change, as we talked about attendance earlier, at all levels. That's constantly being looked at, so law and policy revisions. Truancy
Kind of hot, ain't it?
at all levels, and it's constantly being tweaked. And those are some of the areas that we looked at in making the handbook changes for this summer, where Mr. Howell and I sat down as a collaborative team and went through the handbook section by section, subtitle by subtitle, to make additions and corrections where needed. Some of the areas that we made revisions to this year were attendance. Dave, I don't know if you want to talk on that. You have that in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 2 years, the state of Pennsylvania has drastically modified procedural things and approaches school districts need to take for truancy elimination, prevention. What we can do, can't do, how things are coded, so the handbook needed to be updated. The board policy, I believe, was updated, that came through last February, if I remember correctly. So the policy was there, the handbook was updated, accordingly to reflect that. One thing I try to do as well is one of the most common things I have to explain when I'm talking with parents is the differences between unlawful absences, excused absences, school events, special excuses, all of this, what things mean. So I try to take that language and write it very plain spoken. Sometimes things can get very legalese, and that was one of the major revisions to the handbook, going into this year to get the procedures all updated so it's clear.
Another area that we looked at changing and adapting was the College Scholar Program. So Lehighton Area High School and Lehighton Area School District was fortunate enough, this is year 2 of what is called the College Scholar Program, where we've entered agreement with Lehigh Carbon Community College. Students, as they enter into 11th grade, can apply to become a member of the College Scholar Program. They have to be proficient on their keystones. They have to obtain a required GPA, and with that they apply to become a member of the College Scholar Program. They're then screened, there's meetings held to discuss what their qualifications are, and then they have to take an entrance test into LTRC and meet criteria based on that. If they are accepted on those, they qualify for our College Scholar Program, which means they can now attend Lehigh Carbon Community College as a full-time student there, and entering their junior and senior years, and this will be our first year where our students will actually go through the 2-year program where they will graduate with a liberal arts degree from Lehigh Carbon Community College, as well as a Lehighton High School diploma. Those students, for the most part, take all of their courses at Lehigh Carbon Community College. This year, we are fortunate enough with our junior class to offer some more dual enrollment on campus. So there are 2 days a week, Tuesday, Thursdays, where they're taking 3, and I'm looking at this where I'm back there, 3 of the 4 courses are taken on our campus. Otherwise, they're going to LTRC, they're responsible for their transportation, and they've learned to carpool. They are involved in all their extracurricular activities. Students are involved in, they're in the buildings, they're there for pep rallies, they're participating in events as much as they can possibly get back to, and we've been very fortunate to have that opportunity. So that has been tweaked as we go along, as we meet with LTRIC and we meet with their representation on things that we're looking at. Of course, we want them to be successful. As last year was our first year, so the students struggled. I believe we started with 18 students that entered the program last year. 2 students did come back to Lehighton Area High School mid-year, just due to personal reasons or academic reasons, realizing it probably wasn't the choice for them. And they transitioned right back into our high school and into our curriculum so that they can be right on track for the credits. They still hold to the credit requirement of the Lehighton Area School District. We require 28 credits to graduate, and that is still followed. So that was an area that was looked at, that was tweaked. Responses to changes in technology and trends, obviously we looked at that in the handbook. Security protocols, looking at that. And then we also looked at academic intervention plans, communication practices, a tardy matrix, and just fine-tuning little procedures such as privileges at the high school. We do offer early out for seniors. Again, every day there's an enrichment period at Lehighton Area High School, which starts at approximately 1:37. If students have, again, passed their keystones in bio, lit, and algebra, they are then able to apply for early out privileges, which means that they do not need to stay for that enrichment. They get parent permission, and they can leave. But that is all pending academics. We do have the ability, if they are struggling and they need intervention, we can pull that and revoke that from them to be able to provide them with some intervention and get them where they need to be. So those are some things that we looked at tweaking. Questions for us? Yes?
Class dues.
Class dues.
What is the buyout that is required
So
for either the junior or senior?
Junior and senior class each have an advisor. So there's a teacher advisor assigned for junior class and senior class. They each have dues set, I believe, off the top of my head, the junior, I think it's $20. I don't misquote me because I could be wrong. Each class is a little bit different depending on their trips. I think they both average around $20 that they give class due, as they do. And then they also have different fundraising activities that they do. For example, the junior class this week is having a dine at Platz's to raise money